The whisper of falling leaves danced with the cool October wind as Maya Green set the table in her small but cozy woodland home. Dinner was her sanctuary, a ritual of togetherness that she and Ethan, her husband of 7 years, had once cherished. Yet tonight, the warmth had been replaced by an unsettling chill. Ethan sat across the table, his face illuminated by the flickering glow of the candlelight. His eyes were fixed on his phone, a smirk tugging at his lips as his fingers moved across the screen. Maya's stomach twisted as she fought the impulse to ask what he was so engrossed in. "Ethan," she began, her voice gentle but edged with unease. "Is everything okay? You've been distant lately." He glanced up briefly, his smile fading. "Work's just been crazy, that's all." Maya nodded, but the hollow tone of his voice stung. Ethan had always been a terrible liar. As the evening wore on, her eyes couldn't help but flicker back to his phone. The device, innocuous in appearance, felt like an unwelcome guest at their table. When he excused himself to take a call, she leaned forward, her hand hovering over the device. "No, don't do it," she whispered to herself. Yet her curiosity overpowered her restraint. Swiping the screen open was almost too easy. Ethan's password hadn't changed, their wedding date. The sight that greeted her stopped her breath. A message thread dominated the screen, its most recent entry glaring at her. "I can't wait to see you tonight. Same place, same time. Love, Lily." The words burrowed into her mind like venom, leaving her stunned. Before she could process, Ethan re-entered the room, his casual demeanor starkly at odds with her spiraling emotions. "Maya, is something wrong?" His eyes flicked to the phone in her hand, widening with recognition. "You tell me, Ethan," she said, her voice trembling. She slid the phone across the table, watching as panic overtook his expression. I can explain," he stammered. "No," she interrupted, rising from her seat, her voice trembling with barely contained fury. "You'll tell me one thing. How long?" His silence was answer enough. When he finally spoke, his words cut deep. 6 months. The room swirled around her as she grappled with the weight of his betrayal. Ethan, the man she had built her life with, had been leading a double life for half a year. "Who is she?" Maya demanded. "Lily," he admitted reluctantly. "She's someone who makes me feel alive. Something I haven't felt in years." His words struck like daggers, each syllable piercing the fragile remnants of her trust. Swallowing the sob building in her throat, Maya grabbed her coat and stormed toward the door. "Where are you going?" Ethan called after her. "Anywhere but here," she said without looking back. The crisp night air bit her skin as she stepped outside, her world irreversibly altered. The following day, the sting of betrayal burned hotter. Maya knew she couldn't let Ethan's deceit go unchallenged. Desperation drove her to contact a private investigator, a man named Raymond Pierce, known for his discretion and efficiency. Within 24 hours, Raymond presented her with a dossier. The photos, financial records, and texts painted a damning picture. Ethan had not only been seeing Lily but also several other women over the past year. "Ethan has been using joint funds to finance these affairs," Raymond explained, sliding over evidence of lavish gifts, hotel stays, and expensive dinners. Maya's anger morphed into cold resolve. She wouldn't let Ethan walk away unscathed. "Thank you, Raymond," she said, her voice steely. "I'll take it from here." The days that followed were a blur of seething rage and strategic planning. Maya refused to let herself crumble under the weight of Ethan's betrayal. Instead, she reached out to Clara Holt, a fiercely intelligent divorce attorney renowned for her no-nonsense approach. As Clara reviewed the damning evidence Raymond had compiled, she leaned back in her chair, lips curling into a predatory smile. "This is more than enough to not only secure a favorable divorce settlement, but to make Ethan's life very uncomfortable in the process. I want to make him regret every lie," Maya said, her voice unwavering. "You came to the right person," Clara replied, her tone sharp as steel. The first step in their plan was to freeze Ethan's access to the joint accounts. Clara filed a motion with the court, citing the blatant misuse of funds. Ethan's reaction was swift and furious, showing up at the house that afternoon. "What the hell, Maya?" he shouted as he barged through the door. She stood her ground, meeting his anger with icy composure. "You used our money to fund your affairs. You're lucky I haven't pressed charges. You're blowing this out of proportion," he snapped, his arrogance only fueling her determination. "We can work through this." "Work through this?" Maya's laugh was sharp and bitter. "You destroyed our marriage, Ethan. There's no working through that." The venom in her voice silenced him. For the first time, he looked genuinely cornered. Maya's next move was unplanned but unavoidable. Curiosity led her to Lily's home, a sleek apartment in the heart of the city. She needed to confront the woman who had so effortlessly inserted herself into her life. As Maya stood outside Lily's door, she hesitated. Was this the right thing to do? The door suddenly opened, and there stood Lily, a petite brunette with wide, startled eyes. "Can I help you?" Lily asked, her voice tinged with suspicion. Maya stepped forward, her gaze locked onto Lily's. "I'm Maya Green, Ethan's wife." Lily's face paled, but she quickly recovered, her expression hardening. "I didn't know he was married," she said defensively. "Spare me," Maya snapped. "You've been with him for months. You knew exactly what you were doing." Lily folded her arms, her composure slipping. "What do you want from me? An apology?" "No," Maya said, her voice like ice. "I want you to know you've destroyed a marriage, and I want you to feel the consequences." Before Lily could respond, Maya turned on her heel and walked away. The confrontation hadn't provided closure, but it ignited a fire within her. Clara had warned Maya that Ethan would retaliate, and he did, filing counterclaims in court accusing her of financial misconduct. It was a weak attempt to deflect blame, but it dragged the divorce proceedings into a drawn-out war. "You're stronger than he is," Clara told Maya during one particularly grueling day in court. "Keep your head up. We're winning this." And they were. The evidence Raymond had gathered was irrefutable, leaving Ethan's legal team floundering. It all came to a head one brisk morning in the courtroom. Ethan's lawyer argued for leniency, painting him as a man who had merely made mistakes out of loneliness. Clara rose to her feet, her presence commanding. Loneliness is not an excuse for deceit, betrayal, and the financial exploitation of one's spouse. Ethan Green is a man who thought he could have it all at the expense of his wife. The evidence speaks for itself. The judge's ruling was swift and decisive. Maya was awarded the house, the majority of their assets, and a substantial alimony. Ethan was left with little more than his tarnished pride. Ethan's defeat in court left Maya with a bittersweet sense of victory. While the legal battle had been grueling, it gave her the resources and clarity to rebuild her life. Yet, she couldn't shake the anger simmering beneath her resolve. Ethan's betrayal wasn't just personal. It was an insult to the woman she had been before she met him, someone filled with ambition and dreams that had slowly been stifled by their marriage. Determined to reclaim herself, Maya began a new project. She transformed the woodland home she had once shared with Ethan into something entirely her own. The muted tones and sterile furniture he had preferred were replaced with vibrant colors, rich textures, and personal touches that reflected her tastes. The renovations became more than a physical overhaul. They symbolized the reclamation of her identity. Friends and neighbors marveled at the change, but Maya remained focused. This was her sanctuary now, a place where she could heal. Despite her progress, Maya couldn't ignore the whispers of the small-town community she lived in. Everyone seemed to have an opinion on her divorce, and many couldn't resist speculating about Ethan's whereabouts. "He's staying at some motel on the edge of town," a friend told her one afternoon over coffee. Maya shrugged.
"He made his choices."
Word is, Lily dumped him right after the court ruling. Apparently, she was expecting a much bigger payday. The thought of Ethan, abandoned by his mistress and stripped of his ill-gotten wealth, brought Maya a fleeting sense of satisfaction. Still, she felt a twinge of pity. Despite everything, he had once been the man she loved. Months passed, and Maya threw herself into her work as an artist. She had put her passion on hold during her marriage, but now she embraced it with fervor. Her small studio, nestled in a sunlit corner of her home, became her haven. One day, while attending a local gallery opening, Maya caught the attention of a curator who admired her vibrant, emotive paintings. "You have a unique perspective," he told her, handing over his card. "I'd love to feature your work in our upcoming exhibit." The offer was a turning point. For the first time in years, Maya felt recognized for her talent. She accepted, pouring her heart into a series of pieces that captured her journey, from heartbreak to renewal. The exhibit was a resounding success. Maya's work resonated with visitors, many of whom shared their own stories of resilience and healing. Among them was a man named Colin Harper, a widower in his early 40s with a gentle demeanor and a warm smile. "I was moved by your piece, From the Ashes," Colin said, referring to a painting that depicted a phoenix rising from a fiery landscape. "It feels personal." Maya nodded, her heart stirring at his sincerity. "It is. It's about finding strength in the aftermath of destruction." Their conversation flowed effortlessly, and by the end of the evening, Colin had offered to take her out for coffee. Coffee with Colin turned into long walks through the forest trails surrounding Maya's home, then into dinners that stretched late into the evening. His presence was a balm, gentle and unassuming, unlike the chaotic intensity that had defined her relationship with Ethan. "You've been through a lot," Colin said one evening as they strolled by a tranquil lake, the moonlight reflecting on its surface. "But you've come out stronger." "It's inspiring." Maya smiled, touched by his words. "I'm just trying to move forward. Sometimes it feels like I'm still piecing myself together." "You're doing more than that," Colin replied. "You're thriving." His support felt like a lifeline, but Maya hesitated to fully let her guard down. The wounds left by Ethan's betrayal were still fresh, and she worried about opening herself up again. Meanwhile, life in their small town moved on, but the fallout from Ethan's actions continued to ripple. One day, Maya received an unexpected call from Raymond, the private investigator who had helped her during the divorce. "You'll want to hear this," Raymond said. "Ethan's been trying to get back on his feet, but he's burned too many bridges." "And Lily? What about hers?" Maya asked, her curiosity piqued. "She's moved on to her next target, a wealthy contractor in the city." She left Ethan in the dust the moment the money dried up. Maya couldn't help but feel a vindictive satisfaction. The woman who had helped shatter her marriage was now reaping the consequences of her own manipulative behavior. Despite the updates, Maya found herself thinking less about Ethan and Lily as her life with Colin began to blossom. He was patient, kind, and never pushed her to move faster than she was comfortable with. On a warm spring evening, he surprised her with a picnic by the lake. As they sat on the blanket, surrounded by the gentle sounds of nature, Colin reached for her hand. "Maya," he began, his voice steady but soft, "I know you've been through a lot. And I know it's not easy to trust again. But I want you to know that I'm here, for however long it takes. You don't have to face anything alone." His words melted the last of her defenses. For the first time since her world had crumbled, Maya allowed herself to hope for a future filled with happiness and love. Maya's relationship with Colin deepened over the next several months, and with it came a renewed sense of confidence and purpose. She began taking on more ambitious projects in her art, often incorporating the themes of growth, resilience, and second chances that had defined her journey. One day, she received an invitation to exhibit her work at a major art gallery in the city, a rare opportunity for a small-town artist. Maya hesitated at first, doubting her readiness, but Colin's encouragement bolstered her courage. "You have something to say with your art," he told her as they packed up her latest collection. "And people need to hear it." The gallery opening was a whirlwind of excitement. Art enthusiasts and critics mingled, marveling at her pieces. One of the most talked about works was a painting titled The Fractured Mirror, depicting shards of glass reflecting a woman's determined gaze. "It's about seeing yourself clearly after everything's broken," Maya explained to a reporter who asked about its meaning. "That's a powerful message," the reporter said, jotting down notes. "Have you ever considered sharing your story alongside your art?" The question lingered in Maya's mind long after the event. Back home, Maya sat in her studio, staring at the blank pages of a notebook. She had always used her art to process her emotions, but writing about her experiences felt different, more vulnerable. Still, the idea of turning her pain into something that could help others appealed to her. Over the following weeks, she poured herself into the task, recounting the journey from betrayal to healing. The process was cathartic, and by the time she finished, Maya felt lighter, as if she had shed the last remnants of the weight Ethan's actions had placed on her shoulders. She titled the memoir Roots Among Ruins. Maya's book was published a year later, garnering praise for its raw honesty and empowering message. Women from all walks of life reached out to her, sharing their own stories of heartbreak and resilience. The book's success led to speaking engagements and workshops, where Maya found herself standing before audiences of women who saw her as a beacon of hope. At first, she felt unworthy of the role, but as she saw the impact her words had, Maya embraced it. "Pain doesn't define us," she told one group at a seminar. "What defines us is what we do with it." Maya's new life was thriving, but she knew she wasn't the only one navigating the aftermath of their shared history. One afternoon, she spotted Ethan in town. He looked older, his once confident demeanor replaced with a subdued air of regret. He approached her hesitantly. "Maya," he began, his voice low. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to tell you." Maya studied him for a moment, searching for any hint of insincerity. Finding none, she nodded. "I appreciate that," she said simply, before walking away. The encounter didn't spark the anger it once might have. Instead, it felt like closure, a final chapter in a story she had long since outgrown. Years passed, and Maya's life continued to bloom. Her art gained international recognition, and her foundation, Roots Among Ruins, became a lifeline for women rebuilding their lives after infidelity and betrayal. The once shy and reserved woman who had hesitated to confront her pain now stood confidently on stages, inspiring others with her journey. Through it all, Colin remained steadfast by her side. Their relationship, rooted in mutual respect and trust, blossomed into something Maya had never thought possible. On a quiet summer evening, he proposed by the lake where they had shared their first heartfelt conversation. "I've loved you from the moment I saw the fire in your eyes," Colin said, slipping a delicate sapphire ring onto her finger. "You're the strongest person I know, and I want to spend the rest of my life beside you." Tears welled in Maya's eyes as she nodded, her heart brimming with joy. "Yes," she whispered, her voice steady. "I want that too." Their wedding was a small, intimate affair held in the backyard of Maya's woodland home. Surrounded by close friends, family, and the lush beauty of nature, they exchanged vows that felt more authentic and enduring than Maya had ever imagined. Maya's life had come full circle. The betrayal that had once shattered her world now felt like a distant memory, a stepping stone toward the life she was always meant to lead. One day, while organizing a gallery exhibit in the city, she received a surprise visitor. It was Lily. Maya's breath caught as the woman approached, her demeanor far removed from the confident and calculating persona Maya had confronted years ago. Lily's shoulders slumped, and her face carried the weight of time and regret. "Can I speak with you?" Lily asked, her voice subdued. Maya hesitated before nodding. "What do you want?" "I wanted to apologize," Lily said, tears glistening in her eyes. "For what I did to you, to your marriage. I was selfish and reckless, and I've paid for it in ways I never imagined." Maya regarded her carefully, searching for signs of manipulation. Finding none, she softened. "It takes courage to admit that," she said. Lily nodded, her expression solemn. "You've built something incredible from the ashes of what I helped destroy. I hope someday I can do the same." Maya offered a small, understanding smile. "We all have the power to rebuild," she said simply. As the years went on, Maya continued to thrive, her life a testament to resilience and transformation. She had faced betrayal, heartbreak, and loss, but from those trials, she had forged a life filled with meaning, love, and joy. One crisp autumn morning, as she sat on her porch with Colin, their hands entwined, Maya reflected on how far she had come. The pain of the past no longer haunted her. It had become the foundation upon which she had built her future. "This is what I always dreamed of," Maya said softly, leaning into Colin's shoulder. "And it's only the beginning," he replied, his voice filled with warmth. As the leaves whispered in the breeze, Maya smiled, ready for whatever lay ahead. As Maya leaned back in her chair, watching the sunset over the lake she now called home, she felt a peace she hadn't known in years. The scars of betrayal remained, faint reminders of the battles she had fought, but they no longer defined her. Instead, they were symbols of resilience, of a woman who refused to be broken and who built a life of strength and purpose from the ashes. Colin's hand rested gently on hers, a silent promise of unwavering support. "You've come so far," he said softly. Maya smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "And there's still so much ahead," she replied. The horizon stretched out before them, endless and full of possibility, as Maya finally closed the chapter of her past and looked forward to a future of hope, love, and triumph. Life may throw unexpected heartbreaks and challenges our way, but this story is a reminder that we always have the strength to rise again. Betrayal, while painful, doesn't have to define us. It can be the catalyst for discovering our true selves and forging a life filled with purpose and joy. To everyone watching, don't let setbacks stop you. Use them as stepping stones to something greater. You are stronger than you think, and every ending is the start of a new beginning. If you found Maya's journey inspiring, don't forget to like this story, subscribe to support more empowering content, and leave a comment about your own stories of resilience or how this story resonated with you. Together, let's build a community that uplifts and encourages one another. Thank you for being here.